Hey guys, it's Dean here with part 6 of the Infinity War Thor cosplay build that I'm doing. So, we're doing gauntlets today. I did the left gauntlet and I used it as a problem solver, and we're going to take all those problems out and make the right gauntlet and show you how I did it. Let's get to it.
I did some patterning just to get this shape right, and I'm trying to make it so it's about the same size as that one. And funnily enough, I'm left-handed, but the one I'm patterning is the left, so I have to do it on the left. So it's a little hard. Okay, so in one scene you can see that there's some texture and it's pretty much just straight lines, and it looks like a type of cloth that maybe has some roughness to it. So I found this cloth right here, so it has some straight lines. I'm going to use this as a texture for the inner part. This shows the shape that I'm going to make the actual arm band, like the under part, out of. I'm going to cut these pieces out. This piece is going to be oversized cloth. This is going to be pleather. These trim pieces down here are going to be the seams. So when you cut out this shape, give yourself some seam allowance, so the outside line that's hard to see is the actual shape. The inside lines, what I'm going to cut out, and those lines connecting them are slices I'm going to add. To temporarily hold these lines in, I'm using some super glue, folding over the flap right here and pinching it, and then I'm going to sew over that once I get the other fabric on. Okay, so we cut the hole out, laid this cloth underneath it, and then sewed it on around the edges. Now we're just going to cut the excess off and add the elastic. I sewed on Velcro, but also on this bottom one, make sure that you have enough room for your fat wrists to fit through, so don't make it too tight. And this is going to look a lot better once the top part is on. But as you can see with that pin line, I sewed where there's going to be something overlapping it, so you're not going to see those stitches. So we're going to start with cutting out these according to the pattern that I drew. Cutting this shape out. We're going to cut this shape out, trace it onto a piece of paper, and then add a little bit on each side, so that way when we fold the actual foam that we're gluing back in, it'll have a ridge at the top. See, this one's a little bit thicker. We're going to fold this in half and glue it in. Let's glue this with contact cement, barge contact cement. Glue this on. We're going to wait about a couple minutes between each layer drying. Then we're going to push it all in. Then we're going to heat form it. Then we're going to coat it in plasti dip. We're gluing this edge on, going very carefully along the line. But if it's not exactly perfect, we're still going to trim the very, very thinnest line off this. Yeah, then we just gonna clean it with acetone, trim it off the excess on the edges. One thing that we need to do is glue on a piece of the pleather on the back of this, because this needs to not stretch that much. Foam stretches. This pleather doesn't stretch as much, because this piece needs to be structurally rigid. Yep, so we let that dry up. And we're going to remember to get this edge to be folded and stay folded. Now push down flat spots. We didn't glue these two pieces together because there's a visible seam there, so we want that edge to open up. That's good. We have a coat hanger that we're cutting. First we're measuring in 13-ish millimeters, 10 millimeters, 33 millimeters, 10, 13-ish. We're cutting right there. We got two. This is the third one. And then we're going to bend them. We're going to bend here, 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 and here, and it's going to make a rectangle shaped like that. What we do is we start with the first mark, put it in pretty close to it, bend it, look down, make sure it's about 90, flip it around, do the other side, get back up after it flies away. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be exactly perfect unless you are really good at it, but there's 3 of them, and we're going to wrap these with the leather. let's paint them. You can see why I left the little gap in the middle so I can shove them onto a stick so I can paint them. The main way that these differ is the left one has buckles on opposite sides, obviously, because there's only three buckles. So we're going to put one on the inside of the arm, two on the outside. So for the right side, two on the outside, one on the inside. We sewed a strip that's going to wrap around these, and then we're going to super glue them onto each individual spot on the back. That's why this is coated with the fake leather, because this needs to be able to not stretch this way like foam would, and it needs to have a strong contact, which super glue from this to this is going to be really strong. So let's get those on there. So as you can see, there's two regular leather looking strips, and then there's one that has what looks like seam lines sewn into it, and this one turns black. So it's like darker brown and then black. So what I am assuming and what makes sense for how I'm making the prop is this turns into elastic. So this is leather, and this is the fake leather I'm going to be using that's going to be sewn. So this is going to be the final thing that puts the tension on it. That's going to have elastic on it, and this is going to wrap around onto the inside and have elastic. I'll show you that soon. So for the first strap, I'm going to super glue just that seam right there, and that's going to make this attached to that. And then I'm going to cut out actual leather strips for the other one. So the hardest part about this is actually the leather, not because it's leather, but because sizing it to the right length is hard. So first we're going to start with 15 millimeter strips. We're going to cut this all the way down this line. And since I already measured to length, which is the hardest part, which one it is, I'm just going to copy the length over from here to here. So the next part is, after you get it cut to length, you want this part thinned out. So you're going to shave off parts that are going to be folding, and then we're going to stitch them to some elastic. Each side gets elastic, and each piece of elastic gets its own piece of fake leather sewn to it, also from a sewing machine. This one goes to the part that is right here, and this one goes to the part that goes underneath here. It gets a bigger piece of the fake leather on it, so there's more surface area for gluing. And I found out after doing all this that a zigzag stitch is best for elastic. So halfway through here, I'm doing the other kind of stitches, and the elastic just messes up the machine and gets jammed. But the zigzag stitch actually works. So do zigzag stitching if you want this to look good and to be correct. We're going to super glue this in after we sew it onto the end of this. We're going to put this around the ring. You get it. Oh yeah, and if your leather is not the right color, we're using black shoe polish, which is for leather to make it darker. Oh yeah, so the end of these that get folded over, we're not trimming them this way, we're trimming them this way, so that way they can fit more on the ring, because all three of them are wrapped around one single ring, and we're going to trim them just about a little bit off of the end for as long as it wraps around. Now that we have this a little thinner so we can sew it on, we're going to sew it on the proper way, and we're going to do that by drilling holes into this. You could also use hole punches and actual leather working tools, but I don't have those. But we're going to use stitching to sew around. We're going to use the pattern where you like loop around and then tie a knot for each one. And sewing on the outside of the leather and the outside of the pleather face the same way. And we're going to start stitching. Yeah, and for the holes that go this way, when you're doing the up and down, you sort of have to see where the next hole is and guess where you're going in on this side, and then poke, poke, poke until you feel it go through. And then to finish it off, you just do a couple knots through the same hole with 2 loops. 1, 2, pull that tight. Then we do one more through the hole next to it. 2. And cut that right there. So that's going to be how you sew the other elastic on to the leather, but that's a really good strong hold, and we're using string that's a little thicker than normal. Yeah, see, the string goes away now. Now let's get everything black, and then we'll show you what the next step is. Okay, so it's really hard to tell, but as far as this photo goes, there's 2 dots that hold it in, and we're going to attach those like this with some copper rivets that we're going to make. So let's get making those and putting the holes in. All right, so we're going to start with the size of our rivet, which is going to be 2mm wire, which is standard house wire. I think it's probably 14 gauge. I don't really remember. And then we're going to get the drill bit that's a little bit smaller than that. We're going to fold this over, figure out where our holes go, drill it through both halves. I don't know if you guys can see this, but right here we have the copper wire barely sticking out, and we're going to upset the head, slide it up until we get a flat, almost nail-like head on it. Since it's copper, we can do it with a hammer. You really want to take your time with this, because if you go too high, then it just starts to bend and it doesn't flatten. Yeah. Then we use the clamp to straighten this out. Yeah, so we have this copper nail shaped thingy. We're going to feed the leather around the loop the right way, push this through, cut it off so it's barely poking through. Before you snip it off, you want to make sure with pliers so you get it in there really tight, or else it's going to bend on the inside. So pinch it like that. And then we're going to take some snips, snip it off about 1/8 of an inch, lay it here and hammer that. And to help us get it flat and not weird, we're going to take a piece of hardened steel that's made for hitting. We're going to use it upside down because this point's too sharp. I'll place it on there like that. That makes sure we don't strike it at a weird angle. Yeah. Now it's upset on both sides, perfectly flat. Not going to catch anything. We do it to the next one. There we go. And I don't know why none of you guys, when you were watching, told me that this was on backwards. So I had to completely cut this off. You can see it's a little weirder looking. But this one's on going this way, and this one's on going that way, because this has to wrap around like that. This wraps around like that. So the one that has the longer elastic goes this way. The one that has the shorter elastic and the big piece that's going to glue on right here goes that way. Now we're going to super glue this to the other part, only on the edge without the buckles. So this side. All right, this is really hard to show, but on that corner, part that's farthest away from your arm that you can't really see, you want to mark where this overlaps at the very extent of it and super glue that corner onto that, because I can't get, with the way this is designed, I can't get it to lay straight enough because the straps, whoever designed this, the straps don't pull it in the right directions. So there is elastic going across there, but you have to really just super glue it. All right, so now we take the strap that goes over the top, wrap it around once, take its Velcro and super glue it all the way to the extent of this at the top. We take the other that's going this way, wrap it around, take that elastic that's going around to the other side. So this is the one that goes on the other side, and we take the pleather that was sewn on to the end of this, wrap it around that, and then super glue that to itself. Then we take this one, make it go diagonal across, around, and then we have the 2 Velcro halves. Those go on to that ring which you can't see because it's folded under for some reason. Wait, and all this has to be, so you put this on your arm, you wrap the leather around, you see where it's at, you mark it, because everyone's arm's a different length, so I'm not going to tell you the lengths that I did, but you want everything to reach without being too tight, but also fitting. So the last piece is this little leather flap that goes in front. Sort of weird, I know. So we're gonna just cut that out, trace the shape, super glue the edges because there's no sewing seam, and then glue one end of the flap to the side that has 2 buckles, and we're going to pull it underneath our thing when we're sizing up and shove it underneath and just like tuck it in. So it's going to extend about 2 inches down. Here's the shape, and we're going to take the one corner and just along the very edge super glue it in, and then the other side's going to slide under and you're just going to tuck it in like that. So this side's super glued with the double buckle, and this side's slid in with the single buckle. Okay, so we glued it right here, and I'm going to show you how we put it on. So we're going to take our arm, slide it through here, make sure it goes underneath that elastic, pull on this part, tuck this underneath, we'll worry about that a little bit, readjust this so it's straight on your forearm, pointing down your arm. Take this that's already wrapped around, go to this ring, which is upside down, pull it through, tighten it, and Velcro, tuck that back in because it came back out. Make sure this one is diagonal, one's more or less straight, this one's more or less straight. There, that's both of them put on. So we got this lined up with the arm, we got this line going pretty much straight around our arm, and this going diagonal, this going sort of straight, this going sort of straight, sort of straight, sort of straight, diagonal. Yes, excellent.
Yeah, so we made these gauntlets. We made the left one first, then you saw me make the right one. We followed the patterns, we made sure everything was going the proper way. Like there's 2 buckles on this side, 1 on this side, 2, 1. Yeah, we got the pleather, the cloth, the Velcro, the elastic, the actual leather, the EVA foam, the Plastidip, everything's in there. So, if you want to help support this channel, you can check out my Patreon, linked below. You can see a lot of benefits on there, like having different videos shown early, or you could also see like all my files that I'm going to have. So if I make any files that are like patterns for this, you'll be able to get them there. And you can also have your name pop up just like that, or I could say it out loud if you pay more. You can check out some of my other videos over here where I make some other stuff, where I also might do some parkour. And you can subscribe right here. If you subscribe, you'll see all my content, and you don't have to do the Patreon. You can see it then, but you can see it early in Patreon too. And we'll see you next time with another build, maybe the cape.